We got hards on. We're going to the end.
Are you all calmed down? You've all taken your blood pressure medication. Everyone's relaxed and calmed down after screaming about how much they hate Monaco, right? We can all have a civil conversation, borderline debate, about Monaco. That kind of gives away a little bit where I stand on the whole Monaco thing. Monaco Grand Prix. We got Hards on. We're going to end. This is the Hards on podcast. We're talking about the Monaco Grand Prix. What is there to say? A part of me is like, do we just break down qualifying and call it a day? Do we just make this podcast a TikTok? And we're straight into Catalonia, Spain next week anyway. No, we're not, because we are not cowards over here. We're not backing down from trying to tackle a race like Monaco and trying to create a podcast of a race like Monaco. We've still got all the same segments. We're gonna rate the quality. We're gonna do the race rundown. You better believe we are. We've picked up 5 drivers who are going to re-experience the race of Monaco through. And look, do I want to get straight into it? Do I want to not? It's the elephant in the room, obviously. Was there even a single overtake? I don't know. I think there was, actually. I saw like Lance Stroll Nation, Stroll heads. I don't know if there are Lance Stroll fans out there. I don't know what you guys are calling yourselves, but I think they were posting like he did an overtake or something, and I can't even tell if the overtake was good or if it's because it was like the only one. By that context, it's therefore amazing. But is what it is. I guess you could maybe call Bortoletto won an overtake, and then he gets re-overtaken by Kimi on like the first lap. I think the first lap is the only place we're ever going to see overtakes, really. But in terms of qualifying, I'm thinking like, but just by it being Monaco, I think qualifying is always a minimum 7, just because it's one of the hardest qualies. You're gonna have someone fucking up in testing or quali or whatever it is, right? Practice is what I meant to say. Silly me. Hitting a wall or whatever it may be. At least glancing and touching them. The amount of times they're kissing these walls, and I didn't like that I said that. Lando put it on pole basically, and I kind of liked it was like a back and forth situation, sort of between Piastri takes it, Lando takes it, Leclerc takes it, Lando takes it back. I love when you get a pole like that where it's sort of passing hands a lot, so that was good. Russell went out in Q2. His car just decided they didn't want a car anymore. So Mercedes, I think, actually had the worst qualifying at Monaco in like a decade or some shit. Hamilton was P4, but he got a 3-place grid penalty. I didn't actually see it. I will be honest. I'm probably slightly biased against this year's qualifying because I missed it, because I was out doing some bullshit. I don't remember what it was. Clearly, it wasn't anything worth missing the Grand Prix. I can't remember what it was. But ideally, I want to watch every qualifying. But if I do miss one, it's not the worst thing to watch as an 8-minute highlight video. You know what I mean? Because like the race, I would want to watch it for an 8-minute highlight. But qualifying, I think you can still kind of enjoy it in that kind of way. They show you like the last 3 minutes of every what do you call it? Every what do you call them? Like through every, it's Q1, Q2, Q3. But if I just want to call it like through every segment, through every, I don't know. Been watching the sport long enough, I should know. So I don't know what Hamilton did basically to Verstappen. Of course, it was Verstappen who he blocked or something while on a fast lap or whatever. But because it's Lewis Hamilton, I'm going to like aggressively disagree with that decision. And also, as we saw from this race and every race prior, giving someone a free place grid penalty at Monaco, it's like shooting a family member. It's like, that's a bit extreme. It's like it's like giving someone a 12 place grid. I can't even speak. That's how I'm flustered. It's like giving someone a 12 place grid penalty somewhere else. It's like, and he still managed to finish P5. He was actually one of the only people in the top 10 to gain places, which wasn't through Alonso DNFing and therefore inheriting a place. Like, he was one of the few drivers to actually go forward outside of a reason like that. But like giving someone like a free, like, here's the thing. I'm gonna get pissed about something later on. I don't know if I should get into it now or then, but I'm gonna tease it now by just saying the FIA, they like to pick and choose sometimes. Not even the FIA, sorry, the stewards. whatever. Same shit, right? And I had to pick and choose, like, oh, because it's this race and because your intention was this, we're going to give you a bigger punishment, right? Well, in the flip, if you block someone at Monaco and you give them free place grid penalty, and if you block someone at Monza and you give them a free place grid penalty, are we pretending that that is the same punishment? Giving someone a free place grid penalty at Monaco is like completely stripping them of a chance of doing anything potentially. At Monza, it's like, yeah, that's a normal track where you can overtake. Free places deducted here, it's like, oh my god, just may as well go home now, which is probably just down the road because they all live in Monaco. But yeah, that happened. And that was quali. That was quali, which is basically the race because, I mean, Lando qualifies on pole. He won. Leclerc was P2. He finished second. Piastri was P3. He finished fourth. Verstappen started on P4. He finished fourth. Then we had our first change because I think Hadjar was fifth, whereas Hamilton finished fifth. So Hadjar finished sixth. Seventh? Who was seventh? Can I do this off the top of the dome? Or maybe don't remember seventh. I know that at least Lawson is in the top 10. Albon, Sainz are in the top 10. Russell isn't. We'll get to that. I feel like there's one more person in that top 10 and they're not quite coming to me. But yeah, it's one of those tracks, you know, where you qualify is where you probably will finish. Apart from the fact that it feels like a lot more used to go wrong at Monaco, pit stop mistakes, weather maybe. There's usually a bit of drama, but this year not so much. Okay, let's just get into the Monaco in the room. Okay. So the whole debate about Monaco, is it a shit track? Do we need to get rid of it? What's the reason it's shit? Is it the cars are too big? Yeah, but you know, is it like the double pit stop they tried? Do we need to change the layout of the course? All of this stuff, right? And firstly, I want to talk about the pit stops and doing two of them. Brundle came to a conclusion that this fundamentally doesn't work, which, by the way, I don't like that. I don't mind having a conversation after something happens, but whilst I'm watching it and I'm already maybe a little bored or I'm a little like, I don't want the people commentating who are meant to be hyping up, like just sort of throwing in the fucking towel or whatever, waving the white flag. You know what? I don't like this. This is fucking shit. This is shit. Which, by the way, if there was one pit stop, it would have been equally as shit. I don't know. I just didn't like that because I want to just hear good vibes when I'm trying to watch a 78 lap Monaco race. But on top of it, like, for me, it's not whether it worked or didn't work, because like it's kind of stupid to really decide of something so trivial like the two pit stops on this kind of track. Like, if like someone had crashed, or like if there was a bigger incident that happened and made this race exciting, it wouldn't have been because of the two pit stops. And the only way two pit stops would have made the race more exciting, down to it being as a result of the two pit stops, would have been what, like, I don't understand what the mindset is of the two pit stops. Is it just literally that there's more chance for people to make mistakes while pitting, more Leclerc situations or whatever? Because like it's not gonna be like a tire offset thing, and by forcing everyone to do pit stop, it's not like there's ever gonna be like some people doing one stop, some people doing two stops, because there's no benefit of there'd be no benefit of picking the two. Like, so essentially, unless the race was more entertaining because there was mistakes in a pit, like, it was never going to be more exciting because of the pits. Basically, this race was the pits, but I don't think that's a bad thing, and that's my main point. All right, it took me a while to get here, as it always does, but overall, like, yeah, Monaco, sure, the cars are too big. Okay, we could make these cars significantly smaller, like, relatively speaking. It would still be incredibly hard to pass, and you'd probably see barely any overtakes at Monaco. Like, it's an incredibly tight track. Unless you want to send them back round in soapboxes, like, you know, it's just gonna be that way. You know, like, it's hard for F2 cars, they were saying. Which, by the way, that pile up, I don't watch like F2, but that looked like, you know, those memes from like glitches in the game when like 17 cars all on top of each other and there's one getting shot up into the atmosphere. Like, it looked like that. But to me, it's like there's how many races on the calendar? Let's just say 24, right? We have one race, or in a ideal world, you have one race where, you know, the race isn't great, but that's what makes the Saturday so crucial. The race can be good. It's possible. I mean, a year or two ago when it was raining and there was red flags and stuff, and that kind of petered out. But like, there's chances for spanners to be thrown in the works. Like Monaco has a prestige about it, right? And like every year we get to Monaco and it's the same debate. Oh, we need to improve Monaco. We need to do this. Whereas I'm like, there are certain like purpose-built tracks that are on this calendar that we get to those races and Crofty goes, oh, this track isn't known for amazing overtaking. Those are the tracks I'm like, we should do something about those. Those fucking purpose-built tracks out in a field somewhere that could easily be, you know, engineered a little better to fit the cars a bit better. Because, yeah, it's easy enough just to say make the cars smaller. But also these big tracks out in the middle of nowhere, you could just make a turn a little bit less acute or some shit, I don't know, which would help. I ain't a fucking, you know, I was about to say architect, I don't know what the fuck you would call the people who design F1 tracks are. But basically, like, I want variety amongst the tracks. And if every single track on the calendar was a track out in a field with high-speed corners and or whatever it is, right, and a big long straight, then it would be boring. I don't mind that we have one race on the calendar that it's set in this really unique place and you drive through the streets and it's really high intensity and qualifying, you know, it's on a knife edge and it's high skill level and it makes the Saturday so important. It makes it unique. And sure, you watch a real boring race 9 times out of 10 on the Sunday, but that's what it is. That's what this race is. I don't actually mind that. It's more just the moaning about it, you know, the expectation from it all. Like, in my mind, it's not even necessarily about how do we improve Monaco. Isn't really, to me, about how do we get better racing at Monaco. Because you'll get a good race on any track just by chance and by if you do it there enough times. Spanners will be thrown, crashes will be had, and storylines will come out of Monaco. Even if it's only something that happened within like 2 laps of the race, you know, you'll get that stuff at Monaco. It's more about how do we make Monaco more of a spectacle, because it's already a spectacle. It's already that prestige. Every driver wants to win their home race at Monaco, right? So it's just, to me, it's just like, how do we make sure the cars are not going 7 seconds slower than they could be going? How do we make sure in the race everyone's driving as quick as possible and it's a spectacle of them weaving throughout these streets? Which, to be fair, if you're there in person, if they're going 1 minute 19 on a lap or 1 minute 14 on a lap, the average person watching isn't noticing a difference there. These are big cars going quick on a track, no one's overtaken. But it's like, let's just make it so, yeah, it's the glitz and the glamour, big stars, it's an event. The Saturday is so crucial, and on the Sunday, let's just put rules in place where you're not going to have what Williams are doing and what anyone in the Williams situation would do, which is just, you know, being slow to back people up and then switching the cars and doing the same thing. And then rules in place that are like going against people who are getting fed up by people technically playing by the rules, but breaking the rules within the rules, kind of. It's just like, and I don't mind them bringing in the 2 pit stops. They accidentally fed into that. At least they're trying. There's so many sports you watch where they just never try. They're stuck in their ways. It's all about tradition, right? It's like, to me, it's not like, let's change the... I don't mind if they change the circuit and they went somewhere else if it's still within the same place, because all of Monaco is like iconic. But, you know, to me, more so than changing the track or changing the cars, it's like, let's just make sure the rules are in place where everyone's going, obviously not flat out, but everyone's pushing hard. And then if everyone's pushing hard, you're more likely going to see at least what feels like better racing, at least what feels like what it was at the end of the race, where sure, no one's still going to overtake, but your heart's still going. It still felt like stuff was at stake because, you know, people are pushing harder. Like, by everyone pushing harder, there's more chance of people clipping a wall or, you know, running over someone. And by doing that, you get safety cars and you get pits and you get more chaos happening, which can like flip the order. Just make sure everyone's pushing hard on a Sunday with whatever rules you put in place, and you'll have more exciting races. Maybe not through overtakes and great racing, but you'll have more exciting races on a Sunday. Bang! It took me about 500 hours to get it out, but that's basically what I'm trying to say. Monaco's a spectacle. Not every race needs to be the same race. Sure, the other tracks were bad overtaking. Yes, they need to be addressed. But my Monaco, it's not the most exciting. I'll never lie and say, out of the Monaco races I have watched, that I'm always on the edge of my seat. But if I was an F1 driver, I'm the exact same. That would be on the top of my list. I'd want to win Monaco. There's a reason, guys. It's got a certain something. Any chatter about wanting to get rid of it. And I'm not even like some traditionalist who's been watching this sport since I was like 4 years old in nappies or some shit. 4 is a bit old to be wearing nappies. But, you know, like, for people who've been watching, these fuddy-duddies, been watching so long, who like, maybe Monaco's not right for modern motorsport then. It's like, what? That is blasphemous. Go sit in the chokey, you know? The 5 drivers we're going to be talking about to talk about this race is Lando Norris, of course, Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, I suppose, George Russell, and Fernando Alonso, right? And let's talk basically through the bullet points of these 5 drivers. So Lando, he had an okay-ish start. I mean, Jenson Button said after the race, like, oh, great start. And, you know, Lando almost grimaced because, like, yeah, he had a sort of final destination moment. I've never seen any of that franchise, but I did watch the final one. They're probably going to make more, but, you know, the Bloodlines, right? And Lando Norris literally had a premonition on the first corner, which is like all fucking tires locking up, going straight into a wall, but then somehow woke up, managed to turn the wheel and keep it on track, right? And then, which by the way isn't a good sign, because if you know how Final Destination goes, that means now he's avoided death, and the rest of this season is going to be death chasing him down. Death probably being Oscar Piastri, and you know, slitting his throat. But let's just, you know, say he avoids that, because I don't want to think about that too much. But yeah, he had this sort of Final Destination moment, but he keeps it on track. Just about, because it's impossible to overtake on Monaco. On any other track there, it's probably him getting overtaken by Leclerc and Piastri, and then spending the whole race trying to catch back up or whatever. But here it was fine. It happened. He gets his iconic win. You know, gets his Monaco win. There was no issues in this race until Max decided to be evil to anyone who likes Lando Norris and put him under pressure by refusing to pit until the final lap. And I knew there was no chance Leclerc overtakes. I'm sitting there sweating because I think, well, if Lando just puts it in the wall because he's not focusing correctly or something. And he started to sweat, but we got alright. You heard stupid people online being like, oh my god, Piastri's faster. Piastri's caught up with Leclerc's faster. They've both caught up with Lando. Like, Lando can't even catch up with Max. Like, Lando's got no pace. It's like, he's clearly, like, no one in this race is pushing. No one's faster. What are you talking about? You know, Max pits, Lando within a lap goes 3.1 seconds ahead of Leclerc and gets fastest lap on the final lap. I appreciated that at least. You know, I appreciated that. You know, go for it still. Which is so psychotic, by the way, in drivers' minds sometimes when they're on the final lap and, like, they're not taking it easy still. Like, these are crazy corners we're all doing here and they're still just going flat out. You're like, I guess you're more likely to make a mistake if you try to just lean off a little bit, and that's why, but crazy stuff. Max was waiting for Max luck, which does often come, which, you know, it worked out for him, I think, last weekend, wherever we were. But last weekend, he kind of used up all his cards. Didn't have much more luck points to go. Didn't get that red flag he was, like, praying for. He tried to pressure Piastri under those yellows, which is crazy because Max Verstappen's usually the one in the race where he's like, check if Lando slowed on the yellows. I just saw Lando crawled forward in the start. Oh, but Ocon, 17 cars behind me. I think he just adjusted his mirror. That's a 7-place grid penalty for next year. Like, he's usually the one watching everyone, but in this Monaco one, he's as frustrated as everyone else. And he tried to gain a little advantage over Piastri. Maybe even because he thought, he worked out in his head, yeah, I probably wouldn't get away with speeding onto these yellows, but the like penalty I would get wouldn't outweigh if I could get past or something. That's possible because obviously we know that was going through some drivers' heads throughout this race. But yeah, that was kind of Max's whole race summed up. Not a lot of points to go through with all of these people here. Now one of my favourite people I want to talk about. Well, I say favourite people. Favourite people kind of, yeah, in general. But favourite people in terms of this race who I'm most excited to speak about. That's George Russell. You know, people's champion. he's had a real roller coaster in terms of the eyes of the people. Love him, hate him, love him, hate him. Everyone's on the spectrum with George. I think most people, they like George again now. And George, I mean, for so long it's been like, oh, I've been talking about what's happened to all the good radios? Why is this and that going on? You know, everyone's too mature now. George Russell, sort of what he devolved back into the George Russell we know and love, and I'm all here for it. George Russell, you know, world class when it comes to Russell Watch. You know, I mean, the radios were back in a big way. He was in his Mourinho bag after he got that penalty. You know, truthfully, I prefer not to speak. You know, he didn't quite do the put on the little Portuguese accent, but you know, he's still in his little Mourinho bag. We love to see that. And yeah, he was just getting pissed behind Albon. Albon was driving very slow and just braking hard into that corner right before that chicane thing. He dropped the shoulder both times, sending both Mercedes drivers straight over the top of it. Russell probably could have avoided it more than Kimi's one, but you know, and yeah, he had Russell basically losing his shit, getting pissed off so much. But I prefer not to speak. If I speak, I'm in big trouble. You know, I prefer not to speak. And he got Russell in a situation where he basically just went fuck it, drove straight over, cut the corners. That's like I do that shit on the game. You know, are we playing the game somewhere? I'll be on like France or something. I'll just drive straight over the corner. And I you know, what's that? 10-second penalty, sure, smoke him, just leave him. You know, 10-second, it doesn't even matter. He just like, but I actually kind of liked that. Obviously, you can't have a track where parts of the tactics of the track are breaking the rules because the punishments for breaking the rules don't outweigh the situation you're in. Sure, you can't consistently have a track like that, but for a one-off, as we're experimenting with this like setup and stuff, I actually kind of liked that. I kind of like why not? You get this punishment for doing this thing, right? You know, if Albon wants to go really really slow, okay, that's fine. There's nothing in the rules that say you can't go really really slow, right? And there is something in the rules that say you can't corner cut. Kind of. If you do corner cut, you'll get penalised for it. Okay, so I'll corner cut and I'll happily be penalised. And ultimately, if Albon sees me cut a corner and he thinks that's unfair, I'm not going to let him now finish 10 seconds, 30 seconds ahead of me. Albon is more than in his rights to also drive quicker and catch up with Russell. But he doesn't want to do that. He still wants to sit back and just do his little slow thing, right? And that's what I'm saying. It's fucking bullshit. Because they're taking into account intentions. Because he intentionally corner cut, they gave him a stop and go penalty, right? Which you can't do whilst you're pitting. So it basically DNF'd him from the race and having it. They basically cut his race off, right? They gave him a penalty, an unrecoverable penalty, basically, which is bullshit. Because I feel like if he did the same thing, again, I'll go to Monza. At Monza, they wouldn't have given him the stop and go. They would have given him 10 seconds. But they just gave him the hardest penalty they could give him that would just fuck him out of the race. That just meant there'd be no way in which he could recover from it. Why not? I kind of like the tactics of it. That you could go, sure, I'm going to do something. Even if you gave him a 30 seconds penalty, I don't think that's even a thing, right, in the books. But even if you gave him like 2 10-second penalties or something, right, on track, it's like, I like the idea that you could get penalised, like tactically get penalised, and then just try and drive and make that time up on the track. Because there is nothing stopping then Albon from going, oh, he's done that to me, so then I'm going to speed up and not let him get such a big gap on me. Like, I just don't like how, like, the rules are in place where you can, like, bend, not, because Albon's not bending the rules, but you can, like, drive, like, 20 is plenty, you know, like you're going over, like you're on a school road or something, and you can, like, really be backing it up, like, you know, throwing it back on drivers. But then the second and like you can be causing people to literally like be jumping over curbs, almost going into walls, because you're just like sitting still basically in the middle of like a one-way road. And then if someone does anything else, they're penalised so heavily. Like, I would literally would have crashed that. Like, George Russell was like, you know what, I'd rather not speak right now, whatever he said, but I literally would have, like, when I came, I was literally thinking in my head, like, whilst watching it, I would have jumped out the car. I would have, like, you know, when we come for the stop and go, I would be like, fucking retire me. I'd be screaming down the mic. They'd be like, no, you're not retiring. You know, Toto would probably jump on, George, you're meant to be the leader of the team. Be mature. Keep your head, please, George. Get back in the race, George. I would like, fine, maybe he would have talked to me around. I would have got back in the race. When I came off my pit and I was ahead of Albon, I would have done the same thing to him. I would have been like, I'm not getting any points. Well, now I'm about to do it to you. I'm just going to sit in front of you. I'm going to go super slowly. Get round me, boy. I would have been going 24 miles per hour on that thing. Like I'm driving a camper van. I was pissed. I know it's technically allowed because of the rules in place and what we've done with Monaco. So this is what I think they should be trying to avoid. Create an environment where everyone's just driving as quick as they can because of the rules you put in place. But like, because it's also because they knew he did it on purpose not to get a penalty. Like, if they thought it was a mistake and he didn't give it back, they would have given him like a 10. But it's because he got on the radio and like a mug, he said, fuck it, throw a penalty my way. I ain't saying behind that guy. He's bloody dangerous. Chuck me a penalty. And the bloody did. But if he had played it more like clever, like if Alonso was doing a similar thing, I reckon he could have played it off good. But because he did it like that, that's why they gave him like, they just tried to kill him. They basically just disqualified him. But I don't know. I think that's kind of cool, in a way, to like be able to cut a corner on purpose as a tactical thing. Take a penalty as a tactical thing. I don't mind that. It's like they were saying for one section, like Verstappen maybe doesn't do the 2 pit stops, he'll get a 30-second penalty. So I guess they are available, yeah. He'll get a 30-second penalty, which would take him back down to 4th, or he could pit in or come out in 4th. So why not just? I kind of like that wasn't actually the case. They checked afterwards; he would just be disqualified or something. But I kind of like in some races being able to like play with rules and penalties like that, and like do tactics in that kind of way. Like, is that so anti-racing? I don't know. Is it more anti-racing than just driving slowly like Albon was? Because sure, there's other races where drivers drive slowly and stuff, but it's not the same as this. Like the whole Albon Sainz thing, and even at Monaco we see it years prior. Alonso, I remember that people drive slowly and this and that, but it's not in the same way, and like it's just ridiculous for everyone behind you, and I think you should be able to do what that. It just I don't know. It just pissed me off, and the fact that James Vowles is leading this was leading. I don't know, man. Because it's just like I was just praying someone crashed into him. Yeah. I honestly, my head was gone. I just lost. I knew that if I was one of those drivers, yeah, I would have been getting like a race ban or something. You know, more than just a couple points on my license. Like I would have been going. Yeah. There were 2 other drivers I was going to talk about. Lewis, he had the flip side of everyone else. Like he wasn't stopped behind anyone, just in free air the whole time, literally nothing to do, and through a pit stop or 2, found himself in 5th, only person to gain some places. And then Alonso, all I remember Alonso doing in the race was he screamed at his engineer at one point, and then his car blew up. So that was Alonso's race. Soft, medium, hard awards. Soft, medium, hard awards. Soft, we're going to go Russell. Not even because he got really, well, basically, even aside from all of that, if he did just sit behind Albon and just sit there and just be pissed as fuck, he could have got 1 point. So he still would have finished in the points. But even with that being said, you know, I kind of prefer Russell being rash, you know? And he did what Russell does. The only reason I'm really giving him the soft award is because I would have preferred he did some petty shit. I would have preferred, that's another story out of Monaco, that would have been a nice talking point. I would have loved if he slowed down and just slowed Albon down to try and screw over Williams for no reason. I know that none of this makes sense, but just like as an athlete who's pissed off in the moment, that's what it's genuine. I would have done something like that, or just get out of the car, or just like I don't know. I don't know. The only I was just like I just wanted Albon to be fucked over basically. Even though I like Albon, just for his crimes against racing. Well, it's not even I know it's not an Albon thing. It's not a Williams thing. It's just I know, but still, in the moment, I'm pissed. I'm doing it. Medium Hamilton, he gained places in the top 10. Yeah. And hard Lando, he won. He put on pole. He did the gap on the final lap, and he got fastest lap. It's hard to pick between these people in this situation. I was all over the place in terms of trying to get my thoughts clear and out there for this one, but hopefully it came across. I mean, as angry as it sounds like I was for certain tactics because of the rules put in place and all of this around Monaco, I hope it's clear that I am fully for Monaco staying and kind of for overtaking still being pretty bad on the Sunday. As long as drivers are driving quick, you will get better races. We got hard, and we're going to the end. I think next week, technically this week, is Spain. Also used to be a track that people would say is a bit boring. We'll see how it goes on the Sunday. Thank you, and I will see you there.